Okay, Tracie Kenyon. Haven't talked with you in quite some time. Wanted to follow up with you, kind of share with you a little bit what I'm doing, and then do some collaboration for the greater good of the credit union movement.
Greg Cook, my friend, that sounds excellent. It's always good to be in your presence.
All righty. Well, a couple of years ago, I started collaborating, with credit union CEOs in a lot of different areas, specifically in the university-based credit unions, but credit unions all over the country, between conferences and things like that. And it didn't really take a whole lot of traction. I mean, I had a lot of good collaboration, but this past year, I kind of rebranded what I was doing as credit union CEO and kind of morphed it into Credit Unions Forum. And over the last several months, I've been talking with people in the credit union space on different topics on, how to, forward, forward thinking the credit union movement. And today, um, I thought we would talk about the leadership crisis in the credit union space and what we can do about it. Now, you've spent more than 4 decades in the credit union movement, starting, I believe, from teller all the way up to league CEO and now a leadership advisor. I was going to ask, what are the biggest changes you've seen in the movement over that time, and what hasn't changed at its core?
Oof. Okay. What are the biggest changes? Certainly technology. When I started, I mean, and I don't mean to correct you, but I wish I had been a teller to start with. I actually was Educational Employees Credit Union. How may I direct your call? I was a phone receptionist, Greg,
Oh, okay.
and so we did not even have voicemail. I mean, right? I was writing those little pink while you were out slips, and so that's crazy. But also, you just think about even our mainframe took up a room that was probably 20 by 20, and maybe you could walk, maybe there was 2 feet to walk around it. That was our mainframe computer in the basement of the credit union. I mean, it was insane. I'm sure that it didn't even have the computing power that the phone I'm holding has now. So certainly technology has. I also think that our movement, we've become much more complex. Credit unions have become larger, more complex. And I believe also that credit unions have become much more engaged in advocacy, in financial well-being for all, and with that idea that all does mean all, not just maybe their membership, but really extending beyond that. So that would be some of the things that I would say have really changed. What has not changed? What has not changed is our commitment to members. Our ownership structure has not changed. The nature of the volunteer governance, even though we do have some areas that allow credit union boards to be paid, they're still paid such a nominal amount. It's no one's going to ever make a living off of being a credit union board member. And so, that thing, the idea of one member, one vote, doesn't matter if you've got $250,000 on deposit or you have a $10 share, you still have one vote. So at our core, we've not changed. We are the same. And I think that's one of the things that really continues to excite me, the notion that, the rising tide rises all boats.
Well, you answered actually my follow-up question on what hasn't changed, so
Oh,
thank you.
sorry.
No, you beat me to the punch. Now, one of your passions is helping organizations develop people and culture.
Yes.
What are characteristics you see in credit unions that truly build strong leadership pipelines?
Oh, well, they start with from their hiring process. So when they're hiring, we don't have phone receptionists any longer, I don't believe.
No, I
But
don't think so.
right when we're hiring those front line, and I really prefer to call them member ambassadors, right? Those are our front facing, member facing folks. So our tellers, our loan processors, I mean, all the way through, even if you're hiring an experienced branch manager or senior executive, I think that you should be looking for a cultural fit, and also what's the next thing that this person might be interested in doing or might be qualified to do. So in ensuring that it starts right up with hiring, and making sure that we have a culture that encourages people to let things go. I mean, I can tell you that there was a point where I was a senior executive in one organization and I was still recording the on hold message. Greg, you and your listeners know I don't have that great of a voice. It was just that I had started that when I was at another job or in another job in the same company. And each time I got promoted, I continued to drag that bag along with me. And that's a piece that I think we really have to learn as individuals and as cultures and organizations, to not allow people to just keep dragging the same stuff. Oh, you were really good at that, so we're going to promote you and keep you doing that as well. What that does is it doesn't allow the new person to gain new knowledge and strength, and it also doesn't allow someone else to gain, the right that's trying to backfill to gain. So I think that's a couple of things that I can think of kind of right off the top of my head.
Well, you kind of hit on some mistakes there. Are there any other mistakes that you commonly see boards or CEOs make when developing future leaders?
Well, I think that one of the things that folks will do, or people will do, is when budgets get tight, we will say, well, we're going to cut our training, we're going to cut our marketing, we're going to cut, right? Those oftentimes are the first budgets to be cut, and that might hamstring you in the future. Now, I'm not ever going to suggest that I know more than someone else does with their own organization. It's simply that we have to make sure that we are keeping up, and we are ensuring that our team members are keeping up with technology, with changes in the marketplace, with changes in member demographics and what they're looking for. And that comes from, most oftentimes, from opportunities to be out and about and hearing from others. We can have great organic, evolution. But most of the time, we get good thoughts and ideas from being out, engaged, and meeting with other people.
We talked about developing future leaders, and CEOs, boards are definitely involved on that. Now, I've heard that effective boards spend more time looking forward than looking backward. In your opinion, what does a truly strategic credit union board meeting look like?
Oh my goodness. First of all, I'm going to say
Am
amen,
I putting you on
brother.
the spot?
Right. Yeah. But I'm going to say amen, brother. Looking forward. I would tell you that if a board is not yet doing a consent agenda, they should be doing a consent agenda. And a consent agenda, most of us know, means that really things that have happened in the past, things that are normal, everyday kinds of reports that they're used to getting, are folded into a consent agenda. The expectation is that board members and team members that are attending the meeting will read and digest that information prior to coming to the board meeting. And then okay, I'll say it again,
Yeah.
read your board packet. And then what you can do is you can then approve all of that, and hopefully you're not talking about a lot of things that have happened in the past. And then look really towards strategic objectives. I would tell you that that the most effective boards have structured their meetings to have consent agenda. Great, we're done. That's what happened in the past. Some kind of comments from maybe the chair and the board, brief comments. I'm sorry, the chair and the CEO, and then go right into strategic considerations. I also firmly believe that if you have a strategic plan in place, there should be a placeholder for a conversation around your strategic plan on a at least a quarterly basis. Monthly might be too much, but maybe every other month, so that it keeps your strategic objectives right in the forefront.
Sure. No,
And then
that's a good point. I've heard I've heard lots of people in the senior leadership for credit unions say they do their strategic plan once a year and then it kind of gets put on a shelf. We actually we made a form out of it, and so we could do monthly tracking, and printed it up on a large sheet of paper and put it right up on a whiteboard in our boardroom.
I don't know if you're filming this or just recording, but or people are going to see my happy dance, but you are
They're going to see your happy dance.
Good. You are pleasing me right there. That is exactly what needs what needs to happen, right? Keeping it in front and making it be a living document. That is one way to really change a culture in a board and a credit union staff, to make sure that you are forward thinking. I would sometimes use my board. I was a president of a league and not a credit union, but still I would tell my board sometimes, hey, I just want to use you as a focus group. Like I was very clear on items that needed board approval. And if they were things like, for example, we were renewing our corporate credit union agreement. That happened every year. Our sharing agreements, those happened every year, but I needed to have board approval. So those were also things that were like, here you go, you've seen it, this is not new, let's get these approved. But any new items, then that was something that was an item for board consideration and some kind of action. And then I also had an area for strategic consideration. And that was our time to really talk. And sometimes I would say to them, I just really want I'm going to use you like a focus group. I really want to hear what you think. And most times, of course, as most CEOs do, we bring a suggestion or recommendation, and I generally had that in my mind, but sometimes I really just needed to hear from my members, and then from there we would go on to either make an approval or a little bit more study.
Talking about key roles, CEO positions, I've heard credit unions across the country talking about the quote unquote war for talent. And from your perspective, what should credit union leaders be doing differently to attract and retain next generation of leaders?
Oh boy, that is the $1 million question, friend. You are making it tough for me. Well, I think there's a couple of things, and I'm going to go back to your hiring practices. It's so important that when you're hiring, I believe this with all my core, and I have been training on this for more than half of my career. There are only 3 things you need to know when you're hiring someone. Can they do the job? Which you should be able to figure that out with a resume or their work experience, right? Can they do the job? Do they have the skill set? Will they do the job? That's attitudinal. So you've got to start asking some attitudinal questions. What does it feel to you when this happens? What about this in the workplace? How would you react? And then, are they going to fit your culture? So you need to understand what your culture is, or what your aspirational culture is, and start to think, what are the traits of the people that we want and need to to buoy our culture. And I would typically, when one of the jobs that I had at a large credit union was hiring all of the frontline staff for a number of branches. And I would start out with a very cursory review of someone's talents and skills. We talk a little bit about that, but then I would move right into kind of, will they do the job? If you're confronted with an angry member or a member that we've made a mistake, with how will you react to that, right? And then I would move into, then I would ask them what kind of a culture makes them tick. I did not tell what our culture was, because wily interviewees can then pick that up. So I would say, what kind of a culture, what kind of a supervisor, just to really get a sense for what they're looking for, and are they going to be a good fit? And I got to tell you, my friend, fit is probably the most important thing, because we can train most people to do just about any job. But culture fit. Yes. Culture fit. Yeah.
Now, I'm going to preface this next question kind of around, there's, I hear consolidations and mergers, there's also that aside, there's collaboration instead of that, as well as partnerships with fintechs. So having led a league for a couple decades, where do you see the credit system, the credit union system heading in the next, say, 5, 10, 15 years is way too far down the road, but, in the near future?
Well, I do think that I think consolidation will continue. And I think what we're seeing now is healthy credit unions. It used to be that it was really only troubled credit unions that merged. And now it's a lot of healthy credit unions looking for opportunities for scale and opportunities for growth in different markets. I also believe, Greg, that there's a lot of opportunity for partnerships between credit unions, partnerships with fintechs, continuing to partner. Of course, I'm a big league, America's Credit Union, Feline, National Credit Union Foundation, right? All the system partners that we have built and that are owned by credit unions, Origins, Valera. These are all organizations that are, focused on ensuring that credit unions do well. And so I don't have one. I wish I had a silver bullet and said, this is it. This is the one thing. I think it really depends on the credit union, the market, their appetite for risk, for example, their appetite for collaboration. And there are a lot of really cool things that can be done, but with smaller organizations, because of their nimbleness, that, I've seen credit unions share back office, for example. I've seen credit unions audit each other's accounts for them, for each other. They're on the same system, for example. And so they'll do some of the audits, and that'll save a few bucks. And also, again, collaboration, you get a little bit more insight maybe from someone else. So there's not just one way to answer that big question. I do think consolidation will continue, or collapsing of the system, whatever you want to credit the number of credit unions. And I think that's kind of part of our future, although it has slowed down a bit, I believe.
This next question is going to be kind of more personal reflection for you. But after a long and influential career in credit unions, what leadership lesson took you the longest to learn, but made the biggest difference once you did?
Oh, Greg, there are so many. Okay, you're asking me to be vulnerable. I'm going to be vulnerable. Believe it or not, I mean, I have a degree in psychology. I've always been very fascinated with people and how things work. My master's degree is in communication. I've never taken a business class in my life. So this might sound sort of funny, but probably the biggest leadership lesson that I have learned, and took me the longest, is that not everyone processes or is just like me. Now I knew it, right? I had it logically in my head. I could tell you that, but to actually have it settle in my heart and my gut, I had to have it had to be shown to me more than once. And once I started to actually live it, once I started to incorporate that into, okay, hold on, I need to communicate with this person in the way that is most effective for them, not just keep repeating what I've been telling them or raise my voice somehow, or do something that would work for me. That to me is probably the leadership lesson, as you asked me, that kind of took me the longest to learn, but has been the most impactful.
I've got some senior leaders that I'm guessing will probably retire from the positions that they're in, but I've got some mid-level managers that probably look for aspirations in the credit union space. What advice would you give someone, looking to expand their career in credit unions today?
I would tell them to get as much knowledge as they can, be as knowledgeable as they can about the system, about the credit union that they're interested in, or credit unions in general. And that doesn't mean that they need to go off to expensive conferences or any of that, but keep their eyes open, read CU Insight, read the information that's coming out from your league and from America's credit unions, stay informed. So number one, be informed. And number two, as you're looking to advance, be very knowledgeable about your own leadership style, and also maybe your own foibles, right? Like I just mentioned mine. If the more self-aware we are, I think the better we can lead. And so starting that journey yourself, and there's a lot of really good things you can do in terms of getting to know yourself. I mean, really, even just asking your coworkers, your supervisor, your current CEO, what do you see as my greatest talents? Where do you see my growth edges? Where are some places where I can get better? And being really open to that. And then not being afraid. Trust yourself. If there's a role that you're curious about and that you think that you could do a good job, just because you haven't done it, or you look at it and you say, oh, I only match 75% of what they're asking for. Go ahead and go for it. It's good to interview, first of all. It's good to get that skill, but also you didn't know how to do your last job, and you learned to do it, right? You didn't know how to do your first job ever. But when you think about it, our very first job,
You had
we
to
didn't know
learn.
anything. We
Yeah.
have to learn. Yeah.
So, actually, I don't think I shared this with you. About 6 months ago, my daughter Maria, her and I work on a lot of little, side things, and we actually put together a book called Passion, Profits, and Purpose, for most people to be able to find ways to use their passion to make profits and then to be able to live their purpose. So this credit unions forum thing is not really a profit generation for me. It's just kind of more of a passion product, for collaboration within the credit union space for me to grow my own knowledge as well. For anybody out there, what would be one leadership book that you think every credit union CEO should read?
Oh, I just read a great book. It just came out in last July, I think, and it's called Blind Spotting. And the author is Martin Dubin. I think it's Duban. I think. I'm sorry, I should check.
Oh,
Um,
that's okay. What was the title of the book again?
Blind Spotting. And there's
Blind
other books
Spotting.
out there kind of with that title, but it's a yellow book and it has a actually it's a windshield with a wiper. Blind spotting, it is how you tell your own, how you can kind of capture your own blind spots and what to do about them. Very
real quick,
good read. Yeah.
a couple real quick, finishing up here. What's one skill you think will define the next generation of credit union leaders?
Let's see, next one skill. Flexibility.
Okay. And what gives you the most optimism about the future of credit unions?
Young leaders, working with young leaders.
All righty. Well, in finishing up, I know it's been a while since we've talked. There might be some people that are catching this that doesn't know who Tracie Kenyon or Humanidei is. Why don't you give them your, your elevator pitch and tell them what you're about and how they can reach you.
Well, that sounds great. Thank you, Greg. So again, I'm Tracie Kenyon. Greg mentioned 41 years in the credit union movement, from phone receptionist to CEO. I retired as CEO 2.5 years ago and became a certified executive coach. And so now I'm doing executive coaching and talent development, all in the credit union space. And that's what Humanidei does. We do I will tell you, if it's people-y, we do it. So we do executive recruiting, we do talent development, we work with boards, we do wage and compensation reviews, we work getting evaluation